This is the regular meeting of Mobile City Council, Tuesday, August 15th. Please stand for the invocation provided by Father Dan Good, Public Safety Chaplain, and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Father in heaven, we give you thanks for the gift of your love and the gift of your Son, Jesus Christ. And we ask that you would bless the city council, bless our city, bless all those who serve our city, our mayor, all those who serve the public, Lord God. And we ask that you would bless the city of Mobile and the county of Mobile to make us a holy people, Lord God. Pour forth your blessing upon us, and we praise you, and we thank you, and we glorify you in your Son, Jesus, who lives and reigns forever and ever. Amen. In the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Councilmember Penn.
Here.
Councilmember Carroll.
Here.
Council President Small.
Here.
Councilman Reynolds. Here. Councilmember Daves. Here. Councilmember Woods.
Here.
Council Vice President Gregory. Here. Statement of rules.
Hey, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
It's good to see everybody this morning. Welcome to our meeting. At this meeting, we do have rules. At this time, I ask if anyone have any type of electronic device, including cell phone, please at this time put on the off or the vibrate position, the off or the vibrate position. Any person desiring to address the council must sign in indicating the resolution, the ordinance, appeal, or public hearing agenda item before entering the meeting. When addressing the council, the speaker must state his or her name. Any person desiring to speak to the council on a non-agenda item and wishes to speak to the city council must sign in by 2:00 p.m. the Thursday prior to that council meeting. The subject that he or she wishes to talk to the council about must pertain to the city of Mobile business. Anyone who has not given proper notice to the city clerk's office would not be allowed to address the council. Each speaker is allowed 3 minutes to address the council. A bell will indicate the sound of the end of 2 minutes. 1 minute remains for summarizing. Second bell indicates that your time has expired. When addressing the council, there is to be no personal address to any individual council members. All statements are to be made to the chair, who will recognize any council member who wishes to respond. To maintain decorum, there will be no undue applause or public outcry allowed. Madam Clerk.
Approval of minutes of the meetings of July 24th, August 1st, and 8th.
So moved. Second. And properly moving second in the discussion. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Madam Clerk.
Communications from the mayor.
Good morning. It's good to see everyone this morning. Once again, we appreciate you being here. First, I'd like to say that it's good to see 7 city council seats filled. Councilman Josh Woods, I wasn't here last week for the swearing in, but anyway, look forward to working with you, Councilman. This last night, we had the first of what will be several meetings held in West Mobile and the annexed areas. We met with some of the leadership of the homeowners associations and some of the directors, and the idea was we had a lot of the executive directors and departments out there explaining to them how we will bring them into the city, how we will start providing services, and when we'll do that. We'll have another meeting tonight with those homeowner association presidents, for some that were not there last night, and then we'll start meeting with some of the citizens that live in the various neighborhoods or anywhere out in the annexed area. We'll be having those meetings at Creekwood Church on August 22nd, 24th, and 31st. All of them start at 5:15. The whole purpose is to explain the timing and the process for how we will pick up their garbage, how we'll provide emergency medical services, fire, police, and every other services that the city offers to any of our citizens. I think I said this last meeting I was attending, but we're bringing into the city about 19,000 citizens, which is a city somewhat the size of Mountain Brook or a little bit smaller than Fairhope. So a lot of logistics to make that happen, but we're very excited about it, and our mission is to make sure we execute this in a seamless fashion. One of the announcements I have today has to do with the Mobile Film Office. We're hosting a creative industry expo, and what the idea is to give Mobilians an opportunity to learn about film, video games, and virtual production industries that exist. So on August 26th, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Mobile Civic Center Expo Hall, participants can see firsthand demonstrations from local companies like Third Realm Creations, Craft Show Digital, and more. It's interested to all Mobilians of all ages. Perfect chance for our local students and parents to learn more about the local film industry, about our local college programs, and some of the creative industries that we have already existing in the city. If you want to find out more information about that, you can go to the mobilefilmoffice.com, and they will explain that in more detail. At this time, I'll call on Chief Prine to recognize our Officer of the Month.
Morning, council, mayor, staff. Today is Officer Van Sickle. He's been on the department just about a year and a half. He is currently assigned to the 2nd Precinct out West Mobile, and he had a stellar month for the month of July. More importantly, he had over 110 calls for service that he personally responded to, made over 25 arrests for the entire month. 2 notable arrests where both were involved a foot chase, where one gentleman had a probation revocation warrant and failed to register as a sex offender, and the other one served with an assault and an arson case, where Officer Van Sickle chased both individuals and made the arrest. More importantly, because of his efforts, it has turned out that he is a stellar officer. He is on his way for certainly a great career, and because in part of his efforts, the 2nd Precinct is trending about 30% down in overall Part 1 crimes year to date. And to that end, congratulations, job well done.
This time, Chief Lamy will present 2 firefighters over a period of 2 months.
Good morning, council, mayor. Thank you all for having us today. We certainly appreciate you taking a few moments to help recognize some of our own. For June of 2023, we have firefighter Hicks, who's been on the department almost 12 years and is currently assigned to Station 20 on Dolphin Island Parkway. And for July of 2023, we have Dominique Evans, who's currently a paramedic assigned to Rescue 23 at the station near Airport and Florida Street. Each of them received a recommendation, and I was pleased to receive it for both of these employees because they're widely viewed as people that come to work each and every day and do a phenomenal job in serving the citizens. And to me, that goes without saying. We have a lot of people that do that, but somebody took and thought enough of them to submit this. So we're certainly appreciative of their efforts, not just what they do on any specific incidents, but how they carry themselves and how they represent the department day in and day out. So appreciate you allowing us to recognize them. And with that, I'd just like to say congratulations on being named Firefighter of the Month. Thank you.
Mr. President, that concludes my remarks.
Thank you.
Adoption of the agenda.
So moved.
Second. Been properly moved and second in discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Agenda's adopted.
Appeals. Request for waivers of the noise ordinance at Herndon Sage Park on September 1st, September 2nd, September 3rd. At Tricentennial Park on September 24th from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. At 3404 Moffett Road on October 6th from 6 to 9 p.m. At 564 Dolphin Street on August 26th from 6 to 12 a.m. at Mardi Gras Park on September 22nd through 24th, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. In the 150 block of St. Francis Street on December 31st and January 1st from 8 p.m. to 1 a.m. and at 4201 Michael Boulevard on September 2nd from 4 to 10 p.m.
So moved.
Been properly moved and second in discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes.
Request for a waiver of the noise ordinance at Arlington Park on October 21st from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m.
So moved.
Been properly moved and second in discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstain? Item passes.
Public hearings. Public hearing to rezone property located at the north side of Government Street, 140 feet east of South Ann Street, from B1 and B2 to B2.
This opened up the public hearing for this particular said item. Is anyone present that would like to address the council? You may come down to the podium by stating your name.
Good morning, Jared White with the Fraser Green firm at 104 St. Francis Street. Represent Mr. Griffith in this zoning request. This has been before the council our third time because of some procedural issues. Most of you are familiar with it. Just to recap, there's a group of 4 parcels in the corner and in government that comprise the current Griffith service station property. The service station itself is there at the corner on the 2 most west parcels. And then going east, there are the 2 parcels that comprise the old car wash and vacuum cleaning station. This zoning request is for those 2 eastern parcels. The first, going from west to east, the first 3 parcels are all zone B2. So where the service station sits is zone B2, where the actual kind of car wash building is B2, where the vacuum cleaners are next to Gunkel's is B1. And the request is to zone that up to B2. The Planning Commission has recommended that. The intention here is that the Griffiths will separate that parcel and sell it. They intend to, of course, continue operating the neighborhood station they've operated as a family now for 50 plus years. They want to be good neighbors, want to stay in the neighborhood. As part of this rezoning, they made a number of voluntary use condition restrictions to restrict the use of this parcel as rezoning. It would restrict not only the parcel being upzoned B2, but it would restrict the existing B2 parcel because these have been subdivided together, conditionally subdivided into one parcel. So they'd be taking down the B2 zoning on the parcel where the car wash is, and then restricting the parcel that's B1 as it goes up. The restrictions basically take away almost everything but restaurants, and would allow a restaurant to remain there. But one of the big concessions that's made through Councilman Carroll's help in meeting with neighborhood groups is they agreed that this parcel, if rezoned, would not have a gas station use. So, there had been a fear in the neighborhood that maybe at some point down the road, all 4 parcels would be combined together and a giant gas station put in. The voluntary use restriction says that can't happen. There, as I say, the 56 voluntary use restrictions that restricted could be gone. So this is an effort of work with the neighbors, or Councilman Carroll to come up with something that everyone in the neighborhood is comfortable with and can live with. So we would appreciate the council's consideration of it today. Thank you.
Any questions or comments from the council? Thank you, Ms. White. Madam Clerk.
Public hearing.
Hold up. Is anyone else would like to address the council on this particular public hearing? If not, this particular public hearing is closed. Madam Clerk.
Public hearing to rezone property located at 258 North Hamilton Street and 263 North Franklin Street from T4 and T5.1 to T4.
Is anyone present that would like to address the council on this particular said item? If so, you may come down to the podium by stating your name and your address.
Zeke Hudson with Rowe Engineering. I represent Ms. Knowles. We started this process as a 2-lot subdivision. Right now it's zoned T5.1 on one side of the road and T4 on the other. So we're fronting North Hamilton and North Franklin Street. The desire was to have these uniformed as far as zoning. It's been brought to my attention this morning that there's some objection that this may create some spot zoning. I think if we could keep the current property that is zoned at North Hamilton as T5.1 and the property that's on the other side is T4, we would certainly be agreeable to that.
Any questions or comments from the council? Mr. Carroll.
Good morning, Zeke. We talked about this earlier in the council meeting. I'm going to ask that we waive the rules and take this up immediately today. We plan on tabling this current application and having the client resubmit the right lot, the right survey, so that it can immediately be re-advertised for 30 days and come back to the table with the right stuff, so that the T5.1 can face on Hamilton and the T4 can face on Franklin. So I think that I talked to the council today, and I think everyone is understanding what's happening right there. So I think we have a way to resolve it. The only problem is that you got to go back and re-advertise for the public hearing, which will take about another 4 weeks.
Understood.
Anyone else? All right, thank you, sir. Is anyone else who would like to address the council on this particular public hearing?
Morning. Elizabeth Stevens. I also want to support the property owner's request to have the 2 parcels remain the same zoning that they were when it started. It's on page, I think it's 9 of the packet agenda item for this, where it shows the 1 lot was T51 to begin with. That would maintain the regulating plan goal for this area, and that the T51 is that darker color, and then the lighter color. She had to acquire a lot and to gain some size to her lot to build her house, but at the end, each lot will still stay the same zoning, and that we are here to support that as well.
Thank you. Is anyone else who would like to address the council on this particular public hearing? If not, this public hearing is closed.
Public hearing to rezone property located at the southwest corner of Monday Street and St. Madar Street, extending to the northwest corner of Hercules Street and Monday Street from R2 to R3.
This opened up the public hearing for this particular said item. Is anyone present that would like to address the council on this item? If not, this public hearing is closed.
Public hearing to fix costs for demolition of the structures at 1253 Glennon Avenue, 310 Hosfeld Lane, 1413 Chickapin Street, 122 Michael Donald Avenue, 962 Bernice Hudson Drive, 1212 Seneca Street, and 111 South Cody Road.
This opened up the public hearing for these particular said items. Is anyone who would like to address the council? You may come down to the podium by stating your name and your address.
Stephen Bush, 310 Housefeld Lane. So I purchased this property at an auction in front of the courthouse on a particular day, I think it was April the 4th. So I won it through auction, Tiffany and Bosco, and I had to wait on the deed. As I'm waiting on the deed to come in the mail that same week, the property was crushed. So now, without me knowing or being addressed, the property was there before the property was purchased, and so now it's a $9,000, $9,800 fine. They said I have to pay. I'm trying to see how can I get this cut down, or should I be able to even have to pay this? Is what I'm asking.
Thank you so much for coming down. So you said you was trying to purchase the property and waiting for the deed.
I purchased it and I won it in the auction in front of the courthouse. The auction, Tiffany and Bosco, right in front of this courthouse. Won it, and I was waiting on the deed to come in the mail. And as I was waiting on it, the week that I purchased it, they crushed the property, demolished it.
Any comments, Mr. Penn or Mr. David?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Duff, can you give us some information about this particular property?
second one is when it's declared a public nuisance, we record your declaration, letting everybody know that this is scheduled for demolition. The other portion that we have is we do send notice. The title report comes back and tells us that, hey, this is tax delinquent, tax lien. So we do send notice to the state, letting the state know that, hey, we're engaged in this process. Now, regretfully, it looks like that you acquired this property through a tax lien or a tax deed. I'm not sure. But at this point, proper notice was given by our procedure.
Yeah. So basically, you said everything was done properly from the city of Mobile from your standpoint. Okay. And so for him, you were saying that he needed it to come down here to see about that property before purchasing. That's the guideline.
One of the questions that we see is people who acquire property through tax liens and tax deeds don't necessarily
Can you speak a little bit closer to the mic? Thank you.
they don't necessarily do their due diligence and check for items in probate court, letting the world know that, hey, we're engaged in this process. Not only do we, the two that I mentioned, but we also post the property. So postings of each item that we record for list pendants is on the property. The first one and the second one. So in addition to what we just mentioned, sending notice, first class, and certified return receipt to everyone that's on the title report that we receive at the very beginning, we send that type of notice in addition to. Now, this gentleman, from what I understand, what he explained to the council this morning, came before the process saying that, hey, I acquired this property through a tax lien or tax deed, and now he's responsible for the liens associated with the property if it becomes a lien. He has the right to pay those taxes, or I'm sorry, not the taxes, to pay the cost of the demolition, or it could result into a lien. But at this point, we're asking to fix the cost that the city has incurred to demolish the structure.
Was he able to answer your question?
Yeah, so he's saying that I'm responsible for having to pay for demolition fees now. Never became the owner now. He was coming in the mail to claim he paid the property.
So can you speak with him, Mr. I'm about to kind of explain, go over the.
I'd be happy to speak with him outside.
Okay.
Go
So,
a little bit more detail.
okay. Mr. Woods, you was about to.
I was going to say, I want to add some clarity to something. So I don't know if everybody's listening carefully, but two different conversations. So the gentleman said he bought this property out in front of the courthouse. That's a foreclosure. That's not a tax lien or a tax deed. And Tiffany Bosco is a law firm that takes over these properties on a regular basis, and foreclosure sales take place out there. So as an after the process purchaser, he would have had, we're in notice state. I mean, he would have had what Mr. Doffenbach just said is the list business would give notice. And we do that as well, put that in probate, and you buy the property. And then also we post the property. So if you go out and look at it, you'll see that our process is taking place, and you can call us and ask us what's happening. And what Mr. Doffenbach just said is accurate. We've done those things. And then secondly, a lot of times, you don't, if you're buying a foreclosure, you don't necessarily go through the due diligence of getting a title report. That's normal. But driving by the property and seeing it. And so and the reason that Mr. Doffenbach is correct is if we stopped every single time a purchase was taking place, then all the enforcement that you all take action on a regular basis would stop every single time. A person can just say, well, I'm selling the property and it's getting posted, and you have to start the process back over. That's not the law. That's not our process. So you can see what's happened here is a foreclosure sale more than likely. You'd have to actually look at the deed to see it. Tax deeds aren't a thing anymore. We don't get those. But this property it doesn't have a lien on it yet, but that's up to you all or whether or not you want to vote to fix the cost. We did follow the process or not. That is a decision that you all have the power to make or not make based on where we are. But we have dotted the I's and crossed the T's as far as our process is concerned. And after process purchaser just runs into this problem when there's no diligence taking place.
Question, was it a tax sale or was it a foreclosure? So it's foreclosure. Gotcha. Mr. Woods and the council, if I remember, we've had this conversation, Ricardo, especially you and I, 2 or 3 times about that little gray area where we constantly can get tripped up with acquisition of property, transition of property, and we're faced with it once again. The council does have the ability to waive the lien or to abate the lien and not impose it. But the council does not have the ability to replace the structure. So it would be up to the District 1 council person to request, because it is his district, and however he wants to follow, knowing that this is a gray area where the transition of property happened in between areas. And when the title search was done, you were not on the title at that time. It was in between the title search and the time you purchased it. So in my mind, it's a gray area in which this council could abate the forfeiture of the lien on the property, but I would be following the recommendation of the District 1 council.
Mr. Carroll, we're just going to lay this over for 1 week and let Mr. Penn talk to him.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you for coming down. Well, we're gonna lay it over for 1 week. Like Councilman Carroll, this is a gray area, and we want to make sure that we, look over all the information. But if that's the case, I definitely will make sure that we let you know. So we won't vote on this today. We're gonna lay it over, go over all the information, and we'll get back.
All right, appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.
Is anyone else present that would like to address the council?
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Beverly James Townser. I own the property at 1212 Seneca Street, and I've been having some issues with this property for some time. After my last tenant moved out, I actually had to go to court to get her out because of non-payment. Maybe sort of gun shy by even putting anyone back at the house. During that time, I guess deterioration, vagrants, that thing, those kind of things happen. I started getting letters from city council, not city council, but the city of Mobile, about the property. During the pandemic, I did have to meet via Zoom with city council about my property, about the demolition of it. I had talked with, I'm sorry, I can't pronounce his last name, Mr. David. Okay. And at the time I was trying to get a permit to put a roof on, but he advised me that he would not because the structure itself would not support a new roof. So when I met with the city council via Zoom, I think this was like 2 years ago, I asked that the council give me the opportunity to tear down my house, which I did. You all gave me, I want to say 3 months, I'm not really sure how many months it's been, to tear it down. During that time, some of the men that used to work with my husband when he still had his business going, they tore it down for me. However, my husband then had a stroke. It slowed the process. So that left some of the foundation debris. But over the course of time, besides tending to my husband, I would ask someone, would you go get some more that I need to get it cleared. It's been an ongoing process. So now here I am at this point where the city has cleared my property and I have a cost here saying $3,200. I'm retired, I'm on a fixed income. $3,200 is not in my pocketbook. So that's why I'm here at the meeting now to address this issue and what I need to do to go forward.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming down, Ms. Townser, and do remember meeting you on Zoom. I'll be honest with you, the city don't have enough employees, And most time when the, property get reported is by the residents, and you say when you was meeting by Zoom, it was back in 2021,
I believe,
and this is 2023. And I guess the property got cleaned up about, 3 months, about 2 months ago? Approximately 2 months ago. And again, city don't have enough employees, so it's the residents that's calling the city and telling the city, you need to clean up. And the city went out and put out for a bid, and I think we got the lowest bid to clean up that property. And, I'm ashamed to say that the city don't have enough employees, but it's the residents that be actually calling the city and on the city to go ahead and, try to get this property cleaned up. So that's what the city actually had done. So, that's where we at today.
So I just need to know what I'm to do at this point because I'm looking at a $3,200 bill.
I'm not an attorney, city attorney. Could you give us?
So there are two things. One is you have to look at, whether or not we followed the process correctly, which we did, and then you have to figure out whether or not you all, have to assess under the state statute, or you have the discretion not to assess, based on the fact that we didn't do anything wrong here. That's a conversation me and Mr. Linder probably need to have offline and come to some agreement about, and see what you all want to do, and then what you possibly can do about it.
All right. I'm gonna ask the council that just hold this over for 1 week, and we'll revisit this again and see what the attorneys say.
Do I need to come back or?
I can give you a call, or you can call me, or I can just let you know what Robin's name.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Is anyone else present that would like to address this council?
No, there's Donald Wolverton was signed in to speak to 122 Michael Donald Avenue.
We're not gonna go back to 310. The hospital.
Mr. Wolverton signed in to speak to it.
Oh, okay, I didn't hear anyone call, but
It was all.
Yeah, I know.
Hello, Council. Don Wolverton. I'm here to speak about.
Speak a little bit louder.
My name is Don Wolverton, and I'm here to speak about 122 Michael Donald Avenue. I was going to ask for a little more time. My boss is going to help me get a realtor and get all this stuff together because I'm not savvy of stuff like that.
Yeah, this is actually, the property is already demolished. You are
Yes, sir.
aware?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so you asking for what now again?
A little more time to get my stuff together, and I'm going to put the property up for sale. And I came down here to find out about the $8,700 that I'm being charged. I mean, I don't have that kind of money on me right now. I'd have to make payments, or that's why I'm asking for a little more time to assess everything.
Okay. Okay.
Mr. President.
Did you receive a letter?
Yes, sir. Yeah, Mr. Davis.
I want to talk to Attorney Woods, because I just want to make sure all the city council is doing is fixing the costs, and then a lien will be placed on the property. We're not demanding someone write a check. We're just placing a lien on the property so that if the owner sells the property, then the city will collect money. I think that's important. That's correct. That's absolutely correct.
All right then. Yes, sir. We're going to assess it, and the city will send you a bill, and they'll give you time to go ahead and pay on it and everything. Okay. Thank you so much. God bless. Is anyone else present that would like to address this council?
Thank you. Reggie Hill is my name. And before I begin, I do want to give a regard to Mr. Doggenbaugh. I think he does the best he can professionally based on the rules that are before him. For example, as you would see at most of these properties, there are notices that are added.
Mr.
onto-
Hill, which property are you signing?
Well, particularly about the 310 Holzfeld, but I mean, it could go to the Seneca property, to this property that this man came up about. All of this is under the same purview. Yes, yes, sir. If all of them are called at one time, you can speak to any of them, correct?
No, you can't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Mr. Hill, wait. Within our rules, don't he have to speak on one particular property, attorney or?
It's open for public hearing, so if he has something specific to say to these properties, I believe Mr. Hill can say something specific to the properties if it's open to the public to comment on.
And we get 180 seconds now, but we waste time for this. Anywho, so on the notices, it says that these things are approved by the Mobile City Council. And we're talking about these liens as well, and we're familiar with this as it goes to zoning. You know how some things are moved, but then you don't have a business in place per se, but it's for the future. So the same things are kind of happening right now with this as well. What I don't understand is, and I'm hoping someone will have the political fortitude to maybe step up and do this, like the Planning Commission. We understand that we go down there and we make these decisions, but it has to come back to this body. Maybe so we could alleviate a lot of this disdain between the citizens, we could bring these properties before here so that people who can have a direct eye can go and see what's going on and then determine, hey, should this be torn down or should it not be? A lot of people not even understand what's happening, just like the gentleman who spoke before, and this is what I've been informed, he only got one notice, and they told him about the bill. That's something that I think, as some others would suggest up here, could be handled at this body beforehand. This is all we're saying. We're not trying to be egregious to you all. We need to stop taking this stuff personal. I think we need to consider it the same way like the Planning Commission. We start getting these properties bought here as well, and then we can determine about a fixing cost.
Thank you. Is anyone else present that would like to address the council on these particular said items?
Mr. President,
Mr. Reynolds.
I just want to bring a point of clarity to some of the comments. These properties do come before the city council. And notice there's some legal requirements on notices that go out and public notices. And then they come to the city council and we declare these properties a public nuisance for the various reasons. And then there's a contracting process and they hire someone and they tear these properties down. And then after it's all done, they figure out how much it costs. And then it comes back before the city council again, like these properties are here today, to fix those costs so that the city can then apply those or forward those costs to the property owner. And if the property owner chooses not to pay that, then a lien is filed to put on the property. So just wanted to bring a point of clarity to that it does come before the city council on at least 2 occasions. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President,
Mr. Davis.
I think it's important for us to step back and look at this process overall. Now, there's 2 routes the city could take. The city could do absolutely nothing about these derelict properties and let them just fall in and get overgrown and destroy neighborhoods. Or the city can take action to address them. Now, the process that we have in place is a extended process that requires multiple public hearings where the owners have an opportunity to speak not only to the city administration, but to the city council also. Thank you, Mr. President.
Is anyone else who would like to address the council on these particular said items?
Mr. President.
Ms. Gregory.
Mr. Doggenbaugh, before you take off, just to follow up on Councilman Dave's comments, about how long is the average process from when you start investigating properties to when the council gets it for a declaration of public nuisance to something like today? How long of a process is it?
Every project is different and could have a different time frame. But I do want to let you know that there's a difference between commercial and residential. We're talking about residential here.
Right.
So once we are notified of a property throughout the process, we do an initial inspection, which triggers the lis pendens. That's key. That's going to probate court. Then we do the title report. So we have a pause trying to get information of who to send notice to. That notice is 45 days to begin repairs or demolish. For some reason, if you can't do that, that's okay. All we want is the construction maintenance plan. Tell us the scope of your project. I want to repair my house. I want to replace the roof. It's going to take me 60 days. That's okay. We do expect that person to go down and get a building permit for the repair of the roof. So we have the permit, and then at some point begin repairs. But we can step back and wait for that to happen. But we do that all the time. This council sees that, we step back and pause. So that's why it's a different time frame for every project. Locations that they don't participate, they don't come down, they don't contact us. 45 days is their letter of notice to take some sort of action. Approximately 50 days out from the mailing of that notice, and that notice is mailed first class and certified mail. So we have a good indication of what's going out, what's coming back. We also post the property every time that we file the lis pendens, and then when council makes a decision. But we're 50 days out from sending the notice to city council. And that's going to be approximate. Depends on when the Tuesday sets and when you have the first hearing. It's not uncommon for people to come down and ask for more time. By city code, we have 120 days from when we send that first notice, the 45-day notice, for council to take action. If for some reason council decides not to take action, we extend it 30 days, 60 days. If we go past 120 days, the ordinance requires me to start over with a new notice. So we can identify what happened with this gentleman, a new title report, new notice, because we're extending out so far. However, if it's declared a public nuisance, there's a 10-day appeal period. So anybody that's aggrieved that has standing can file an appeal, and let's step back and let's have circuit court take a look at what we've done. No appeal. We're past the 10-day period. We start sending letters to utility companies. Before we demolish a residential structure, we want to make sure the power lines are removed, any other utilities, gas lines, before a contractor goes on site. We do request quotes. The lowest quote is selected. Notice to proceed is issued, and that contractor will go get a permit for the demolition of the structure. The time frame can vary because all of these projects are different. But if everything happens right, we're looking about a 6-month pretty much period.
About 6 or so months.
For residential.
And today, since we had a number of these, we're not asking the people who have come down here to represent these properties to write us a check today. No.
No, what we're doing here today for the items on the agenda are fixed cost resolutions. Municipal enforcement has completed our action. We've identified the direct costs that we're required to seek repayment for.
But a lien is placed on the property, correct?
As the attorney said, it could result in a lien. But first, as I understand it, the accounting department will send an invoice to the person that we send notice for this meeting. And if that invoice is paid, then there would be no lien.
If the invoice is paid, but if not, a lien would be placed on the property. And then if the property owner should sell the property, then the lien is paid from the proceeds of the sale, correct?
That would normally
if
happen,
that was
yes.
the process.
If there's a lien attached to the property,
Yeah.
any selling of the property should account for that lien.
Okay. All right.
Mr. Davis, during that 6 to 8 month process, there is a letter that is stapled or taped to the residents.
Yes, you're talking about our postings.
Yes.
And we post the property at the very beginning, letting people know that this is a structure that's unsafe or unlawful, pretty much condemning the structure because of its condition. And then that's when we file our first list pendants. And this is before we request the title report, so we can send notice to everyone that has an interest in the property that is recorded. Because there could be a title company, there could be a mortgage company, or someone else with a judgment that needs to be involved in this process.
So that posting is on that particular building for at least 6 months.
We post it and we photograph it, but I'll be honest with you, from time to time, there are people that remove these postings. It is against our city code. Every time we visit the property, we put a new posting back, as in the placard. And at the second time, when it's declared a public nuisance, we also post that nuisance itself and record that nuisance with probate court.
And that's, the issue is that, I understand somebody might come by and tear it off, and et cetera. But again, at the end of the day, that these posts have been up for numerous of months. And if the property owner was going by checking on their property, they will at least see at least one of those notices. And that's really the biggest issue with many residents, that people not going to check on their property. So I appreciate you so much. Is there anyone else present that would like to address the council?
And Mr. Small, I do want to add one point. And of course, I think we all know Mr. Doffenbach and his team do an excellent job. Ms. Gregory made a salient point, which is this is a lien. We're not sending a collection agency after anybody, and we have to try to get those public resources back, because there's a bid, it's low bid, but anytime we spend these public resources, the council's governing body, we've got to try to recover those resources, because we can't just allow an individual to be enriched with the work that's been given by public funds. So that's why I think the statute and the ordinance run that way. We give the notices, but what you all are doing is recovering those public funds that we've expended on private property. And 9 times out of 10, what we're trying to do is force compliance and not have to expend any public money, but getting that money back if there's a sale, which Ms. Gregory just mentioned, is what we're trying to do.
All right, thank you, Mr. Wood. Ms. Mass.
Good morning, everyone. I just want to make a quick comment, if I may. I hate I'm sorry, Sabrina Mass. Sabrina Mass. Can you tell my address? Okay. I'm sorry, y'all. So, yeah, it's very concerning that the citizens are coming, and I feel terrible for all this, for anyone. So maybe I can make a suggestion, maybe, with the communications for the administration and the city council. Maybe when you guys are doing your newsletters or even the social media, without attaching a person's name to the properties, even maybe the news outlets that you guys are in communication with, maybe you guys can figure out some kind of way to try and get the information out in those sorts of ways, whether it's newsletters, communication from your district community meetings, via, news channels, because we have to realize some of these people, maybe like the elderly lady, maybe she doesn't visit the property that much. I don't know, she's, because she has some medical issues that she talked about with her spouse, or maybe the district that she's in, because I don't know how many properties you guys deal with. I'm not even saying that you have to go to all these people and say, okay, this is that. And then there's the gray area that was talked about. Seems like there needs to be some clear understanding when people are buying these foreclosed properties and what it entails, what the taxes are, what the liens are, or whatever the case may be. Maybe some kind of, when they buy these properties, there could be some kind of information attached, letting them know even before they purchase that this is what's going to happen. If you get this property, you're going to be responsible for this. And that way they can decide at that point whether they want to go forth with the sale or just, back out. So the great property that Councilman Carroll talked about, maybe you guys, of course, need to go in with the administration and straighten that part out for the young man. I'm just trying to make suggestions to try, I know I come down here and, say some things sometimes, but I'm still about the peace. Just trying to make suggestions. So how as a city, we can try to come together and, and the lady, I hope there's some kind of way that she doesn't have to pay all that money back. But that's all I have to say, and you guys have a nice day.
Thank you. Anyone else present that would like to address this council on these particular said items?
Mr. President.
If not,
Mr. President.
Mr. Carroll.
Going back several years, the need for the Nuisance Abatement Act is somewhat paramount in some parts of our community. It's direly needed. The problems that we have, and I hate to be honest here, is that, and CJ hit the nail on, Councilman Small hit the nail on the head. sometimes we move away from our neighborhoods. And I did a presentation on this 2 months ago. Sometimes we move away from neighborhoods in which we grew up in. We move away, we get a 3,000 square foot, 2-story brick house, and we live somewhere in a neighborhood where we think that sometimes we've arrived, but we fail to look back on the properties that we own where our parents lived or where our grandparents lived, and we kind of let them go astray for a while. By the time we realize that they've gotten so far gone, the cost is paramount to fix them up, and then it becomes hard, or the need to or the want to is bigger than what we're capable of doing. We as heirs to property need to pay closer attention to family property that sometimes we let go because we don't feel like we need to live in the neighborhood anymore, or we don't live in the neighborhood anymore, but we are still heirs to that property. The other thing is that we talked about this before. Most of these properties that we're talking about happen in underserved neighborhoods where a lot of times the people that own these properties aren't in a position to have those types of resources and funds to repair or do things as quickly as we need it. That's why we need some new programs and other programs in the city that assist in revitalization of underserved neighborhoods where we can help revitalize and move those neighborhoods along, to partner with programs that the city already has started, like Hope and others. But it's a big need for that. So, but the one gray area where acquisition of property is done before the new title is done was a big hit, even when we talked about the MHDC change, and making sure that those properties going before that were in the historic district were also protected. Because a lot of those properties that are also historic are in districts that are not protected districts, the Bottom, the Campground, Oakdale, where we want to preserve those, where a lot of times we're tearing down historic properties that we should be saving, but we're losing. One prime one was 650 St. Michael Street, and we lost the back end of Victoria Teal. That was the most important historic portion of that house, which was actually the slave quarter of the house, but we tore it down and we kept the addition, got rid of the most important part. But the need for nuisance abatement is paramount in our city, and to be able to revitalize is even bigger in our city. So, let's not shoot the horse, you know what I mean? Because it was hard to get it in place through state legislation, but now we just need to manage it to make sure that we're doing the best for the neighborhood and the individuals that are there at the same time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carroll. These public hearings are closed.
Public hearing to assent to the vacation of a portion of an alley adjacent to 2411 Wilson Avenue.
This opened up the public hearing for this particular said item. Is anyone present that would like to address the council on this item? Is anyone present? If not, this public hearing is closed.
Public hearing to assent to the vacation of a portion of a U.S. Highway 90 West service road and to consider a vacation of right-of-way fee as a condition of the said vacation.
Just open up the public hearing. Is anyone present that would like to address the council on this item? Anyone present? If not, this public hearing is closed.
Presentation of petitions and other communications to the council. Reggie Hill.
Thank you, Madam Assistant City Clerk. I want to address those matters that are listed on the agenda. Let's begin with the fiscal year 24 budget. We still have an inventory list for our machinery, our equipment. When is that going to be in place? We still don't have anything that evaluates our performance contracts, giving away millions of dollars to these entities, and we see what's happening within our community. I've yet to hear a report about ARP. Maybe you all know something that we don't. The surplus spending, we haven't really had anything allocated towards that either. But yet we're about to approve yet another budget. All right. The time to communicate to citizens' inquiries. Last week we saw a citizen to come forth, and it was quite baffling. The the young woman spoke about her incident and said that it has been going on a year since she sent a notice between the communications that's happening with her taxpayer dollars and something that's infringing upon her quality of life. A year. That is disrespectful to the people who pay your salaries, y'all. I wish we would stop taking this stuff personal, thinking people want to come up here and attack. It's like saying, like, you're chastising us and then want to limit our engagement with this and then want to bring other external things that have nothing to do with the business of the city into those matters as well. And then we all suffer more. It's time out for that if we want to see Mobile truly move forward. So I get to this piece about the fitness for duty, because this is what we're cleaning up from last week. Because, you know, we only get 180 seconds to come up here, so we don't have time to go through these things extensively. And then because we're having to rush and you see this tone, you imagine that we're attacking you, but we're not when we're just going through the facts. So let's look at the idea of $40 million nearly has been spent in the Civic Center, but we're still talking about, just from this morning now, paying for a design. $40 million has already been spent. And we're still talking about getting a design. We need to look at that. Let's look at, we're talking about the inconvenience of people having to wait for their business being done within 30 days, when there's people who have been approved by this body 2 years ago for something, and we're still waiting on that. 2 years ago. And we're saying the inconvenience of 30 days? Let's look at this minority to majority confusion. Now, a lot of people want to say about your value as an individual, but this stuff here, we're talking about the number of people that are here. And so technically the folks who were the minority contract holders, they are the majority now. And you finesse it with DBE. Then let's get to this last part, because I know my time is winding. We spent all this time and had to make Mr. Linder get engaged with this stuff about public hearings, which shows up first on these agendas every week. And you don't know what I can come down here or any other citizen can speak on? But I'm wrong for asking for a fitness assessment for your duty that we paying for. But I'm wrong for coming at this time. I'm going to tune you out because the way you come down here talking to, but you spending our money. Thank you for yielding the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Hill. Madam Clerk.
Dr. Raoul Richardson.
Wow. I tell you, Mr. Reynolds, I almost want to go back to the conversation about who we're going to get in the superintendent, that whole conversation. That's how I feel right now. Dr. Raoul Richardson, 307 North University Boulevard, Mobile, Alabama, 36608. I trust and pray that the tenure of this particular conversation is going to be so much more entertaining. With that being said, good morning to you all. Over the years, I've appeared and presented to this council on several occasions, always efforting to share positive news and information with a focus on proactive community engagement initiatives and the hope of identifying and providing solutions to challenging issues in our Gulf Coast community. Today, I seek to share about the Alabama Contemporary Arts Center, where I serve as one of the board of directors. Just a few weeks ago, David Clark, representing Visit Mobile, shared remarkable data painting a wonderful picture of revenue generated via tourism and cultural attractions here in the city of Mobile. The Alabama Contemporary Arts Center, guided by the leadership of our remarkable executive director, Ms. Elizabeth Elliott, who, by the way, is a recent recipient of the prestigious Andy Warhol Award. The ACAC, consistent with our mission, was instrumental in the development of an organization called Black Life Arts and Culture Coalition, for which I and Chandra Brown serve as co-chairs. In June of 2020, amidst severe social unrest and the resulting in heightened tensions, as a group of concerned citizens of the city of Mobile gathered to explore what efforts could improve communication, calm the climate, and build relationships. While chaos may have been a catalyst, fortunately, it also served as the genesis for the Black Life Arts and Culture Coalition. Our mission is a committee of Black community leaders and allies committed to affirming and celebrating Black life and culture through the arts in Mobile. Through public-facing, artist-led projects and programs, we support cultural production that represents the diversity of our city, celebrates the rich cultural heritage of African-American communities, and seeks to create equity in representation and affirmation of Black life. I mean, I got 1 minute left? It'll be a little bit long, like, hang with me. We work in and with community to create understanding and build the cultural capital of Black arts. The first program we put together was to engage several communities to be identified to participate in a photo voice project wherein we identified professional photographers to provide training to members of the communities to share their stories about the spaces and places which make up their communities. The resulting photo images conveyed moving visual narratives which were made available for public display at the Mobile Arts Council during and after Art Walk. Given the success of this maiden voyage, BLACC sought to identify ways to follow up on our mission. The result is before you. I actually have packets I'm going to distribute. I wanted to make sure you guys got the ceramic things for the art suit first. But the City of Mobile has identified 7 themes for the upcoming community engagement effort, and we're calling it the Story Quilts Project, for which I'm going to provide you the program analysis. Largely, the themes are Black joy, gathering, Black hair and fashion, Black love, neighborhood, spirituality, and work. Many of you are perhaps familiar with the quilting and the historic significance in cultures and communities across the landscape of time.
Doctor,
I'll extend a minute.
you got 1 more minute, Doctor.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Thank you as well. Perhaps most notable would be for the quilts from Gee's Bend in the lowlands of coastal South Carolina, which provide history, perspective, and cultural landscape, which draws countless travelers into the area and is an economic engine for tourism. Our ask is you consider supporting this initiative as we begin the process of vetting the creatives to design these quilts, which we expect upon their completion will be made available in forward-facing public spaces to further engage community and bring diverse segments of our community together for healthy, deliberative dialogue. We all know that the world is based upon building relationships, and it is our sincere hope that when we establish dialogue in safe spaces, we can build bridges in our community. This is the value-added component of spaces and places like the Alabama Contemporary Arts Center, and I believe in working to be proactive rather than always reactive. I trust and pray that you will see, understand, and recognize the value of your investment and soon recognize the return on investment. Thank you. Appreciate
Thank you.
it.
Any questions coming from the council? All right, thank you so much.
I guess I'll see you guys at the Lunch and Learn, right? Okay.
Consent resolutions held over. 03865, appoint Taylor Atchison to the Board of Adjustment.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moving second in discussion.
Are we going to amend this with any wording or anything else that's discussed? I guess not.
Mr. President, the way I read Section 115280 in the Alabama Code, which is the Board of Adjustment statute, which our Board of Adjustment is based on in our ordinance, it says all supernumerary members shall be appointed for 3-year terms in the state code. So again, if we're going to follow along with the state code, I think all supernumerary members are going to have to be appointed for 3-year terms. It does not leave any leeway on the period of the term.
I have a question, Mr. Linder.
Mr. Davis.
Mr. Linder.
I'm sorry. Hold on. Mr. Carroll, you can. Okay, Mr. Davis.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step in front of you. But that doesn't prohibit a member from resigning.
Absolutely not.
Any other discussion? Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Abstain.
Item passed. Madam Clerk.
CIP resolutions held over. 08853, approve purchase order to Trantex Transportation Products of Texas for traffic calming devices for traffic engineering.
So moved.
Second.
And properly moving second in discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passed.
Resolutions held over. 08854, approve purchase order to PPM Consultants to prepare ADEM preliminary report on municipal garage. 09855, allocate unassigned funds in the capital improvement fund to capital projects for various capital projects. 21856, authorize contract with Relum Contracting for clubhouse restroom improvements at Azalea City Golf Course. 21857, authorize contract with H&H Electric Company for exterior lighting at Gulf Coast Explorium, Telecommunications Building, and the History Museum of Mobile. 25858, authorized contract with Forum Air Conditioning for cooling tower replacement at the Mobile Civic Center. 37859, consider the application of Ofair Transit for a certificate of public convenience and necessity to operate a non-emergency medical transportation service. 60860, authorize settlement agreement and release of claims.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved and second in discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes.
Ordinances being introduced, 64036 through 64038.
Move to waive the rules for immediate consideration of ordinances 64-036 and 64-037, with the last one, 64-038, being laid over for council rules.
Second.
Been properly moved and second in discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Rules waived.
64036, rezone property located at the north side of Government Street, 140 feet east of South Ann Street, from B1 and B2 to B2.
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved and second in discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes.
64037, rezone property located at 258 North Hamilton Street and 263 North Franklin Street from T4 and T5.1 to T4.
Motion to table.
Second.
Been properly moved and second in discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item favorite.
Consent resolutions being introduced, 03866 through 60885.
Oh, sorry about that. Move to waive the rules for immediate consideration of these resolutions as read.
Second.
Been properly moved and second in discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Madam Clerk.
03866 and 865 are appointing Gray Redditt Jr. to the Mobile Museum of Art Board and Josh Woods to the Planning Commission.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved and second in discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passed.
03867, appoint members to the Mobile Historic Development Commission.
Move to lay over 1 week.
Second.
Moved and second in the discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item laid up for 1 week.
03907, appoint Broderick McPherson to the Mobile City County Youth Council.
So moved.
Been properly moved and second in discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passed.
Okay, if there's not an objection, I'll take all the rest except for the 2 nuisance abatements together. 37868, recommend approval to the ABC Board for issuance of a retail beer table wine on-off premises license to Taziki's Mediterranean Cafe on Duru Drive. 40869, 871, 872, 873, and 875 are fixing costs for demolition of the structures. 58876 and 877 are declaring weeds noxious, group 1645, and assessing costs for removal of weeds, weedling group 1641. 60878, 879, and 880 are approving awards of special bonus to the Officer of the Month, Firefighters of the Month, and the Public Services Employee of the Month. 60881, concurring the acceptance of the mission, vision, and value statements for the city's Public Works Department. 60882, 883, 884, and 885 are determining appropriations to Franklin Street Baptist Church of Mobile, Alabama, W.H. Feinkoff Elementary School, United Methodist Inner-City Mission of Mobile, and Sandtown Community Action Group serve a public purpose and approve payment.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved and second in discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passed.
40870, fixed cost for demolition of the structure at 310 Hosfeld Lane.
Motion lay over a week.
Second.
Been properly moved and second in discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item laid over 1 week.
40874, fixed cost for demolition of the structure at 1212 Seneca Street.
Move to lay over for 1 week. Properly moving second in discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item laid over for 1 week.
CIP resolutions being introduced, 21866 and 21887.
By council rules, these will lay over for 1 week.
Resolutions being introduced, 01888 through 47906.
By council rules, these will also lay over for 1 week.
Announcements.
District 1, Councilman Finn.
No announcements.
District 2, Councilman Carroll.
No announcements.
District 4, Councilman Reynolds.
No announcements.
District 5, Councilman Davis.
No announcements.
District 6, Councilman.
Thank you again. Enjoyed the annexation meeting yesterday with the groups out that way. Look forward to tonight. And hopefully soon we'll be announcing community meetings in District 6. But also, as always, sign up for 311 and the app and also the newsletter. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilman Wood. District 7, Vice President Gregory.
No announcements, thank you.
And, District 3, again, this past weekend, I had an opportunity to share with the El Belta Primitive Baptist Church as Reverend Gates celebrated his 50th year anniversary. Had an opportunity to go and represent the city and the city council by presenting a proclamation, also renaming officially honorary the street of Gale Street. Again, it was a great event, and they actually had a great weekend this past weekend. Anything from the administration? Can I give?
Motion to adjourn.
Properly moving second in discussion.